Contact a Family is a UK charity providing information and support to families with disabled children, whatever their disability. This podcast is an honest account of a mother's experience of having a child with a medical condition. I'm here with Helen, whose son Fergus has Hirschsprung's disease. Can you please tell me a bit about your family?
I have two daughters, one who's 18, another who's 15, and then I have Fergus, who is now 11. And Fergus has Hirschsprung's disease.
How would you describe Fergus's condition?
Hirschsprung's disease is a bowel condition. It's something that children are born with, and a child is born with a lack of nerve endings in the bowel. And that means that the normal process of eliminating waste from the bowel doesn't happen. And effectively, the bowel is obstructed the whole time. For the majority of cases, children need a surgical procedure called a pull-through to remove the bowel that doesn't have nerve cells in and to allow the waste to be evacuated from the body in a normal way.
When did you suspect that Fergus may be different from your other children?
Well, I had Fergus at home. It was a planned home birth. For all intents and purposes, he looked completely normal. He's a really beautiful little boy. And we went to bed that night and he was feeding fine. But during the night, I woke to find that he'd had a vomit of bright green bile. Subsequent to that, then the midwife came along. He was fine, he was feeding fine, and nothing seemed to be wrong. But as the days progressed, he didn't actually have a bowel movement at all. After 10 days, he was then admitted to the Children's Hospital for tests. And it was at that point that I started to get really worried that something, might be wrong.
How did Fergus's condition affect the family?
I think some of the most difficult things were dealing with our daughters at that period, because Fergus was born at home. He became very quickly part of the family, but then we were hospitalised for long periods of time. For the girls to visit, it was difficult, and my younger daughter was only 3.5 at that point, and it was difficult for the girls to have what might be called a normal life. It was hard to juggle their demands, also our jobs, and also this Fergus, who was often needing to go into hospital.
Can you describe a typical day for me?
I think there are typical days then when Fergus was a very small child, and a typical day now. Back then, say, when he was preschool age, we could even start a day saying midnight, and we would be woken at 2 when Fergus would probably have soiled the bed. It was a constant battle, particularly when he was small, to keep the skin on his bottom patent, and that is a thing that's quite common with Hirschsprung's disease, particularly after the pull-through operation. That would be part of our daily routine, and we would get the children off to school. My husband was often working away, so I would be juggling the 3 children, going to school, going to nursery, looking after Fergus, and also at the same time trying to keep my own career going. As things started to improve, Fergus is very healthy outwardly now. Nobody would realise that he still has problems with the motility of his gut and the way in which the food moves through. Many children with Hirschsprung's, in fact the majority, want to have very successful pull-through operations and are able to go to the toilet normally. But unfortunately for Fergus, he still is unable to open his bowels. So Fergus has a rectal washout every second night. From the point of view of our daily routine now, we have to factor into our activities and our evenings the fact that Fergus will need to do a rectal washout, and that involves him sitting on the toilet for an hour to an hour and a half.
What things have changed most for you as a family?
Well, I think our whole attitude to life has changed, and we've become very aware of how important it is to have good health. And also, I think now things have improved for us over the years. We're much more appreciative of the fact that we can go on and do normal things that a family would do.
How does Fergus feel about his condition?
Fergus has always been really open about his condition, and that's always how we've tried to be latterly as a family. He's a very laid-back character, and now as he moves on to secondary school, he deals with it by explaining to people that he has medication to take in the evening. But apart from that, he gets on with life. He's very, very active, and his condition hasn't held him back in any way.
What support have you found you've needed to help manage Fergus's medical condition?
Well, certainly we've needed the support of the hospital. We have been very fortunate to have had two very supportive surgeons dealing with Fergus over the period of time since his diagnosis. We had some very good support from the ostomy nurse at the hospital, and we also just needed help from family and friends, particularly to look after the girls.
What type of information have you found is available about your child's condition?
There's a lot of information now available on the internet. 11 years ago, when Fergus was first diagnosed, there was very little information around, and we didn't even have any sort of leaflet given to us to explain the disease, and that was hard. But now there's quite a lot of information on the net and leaflets which are published. And I have been involved over the years with an internet organisation, the Hirschsprung and Motility Disorders Support Network, and I gained a lot of informal information from mothers and parents on that network.
How did you find out about Contact Family?
Well, really from trawling through the internet originally. That was how I came upon the Contact Family website.
What kind of support have you received from Contact Family?
The support that I got was really from the information which they have on the website about setting up local groups and support groups. And I used some of that information to establish a very small, informal, local support group for other parents with children with Hirschsprung's disease in the area. And also, more recently, I found that the advice which is on the Contact a Family website about using medical information on the internet has been really important in being able to sift out information that is valuable and correct in terms of Fergus's condition.
What advice would you give to other parents?
Well, I would say just try not to worry. I mean, it's easier said than done, but try and enjoy your child. They're only little ones. Don't try to constantly look for problems, but at the same time, keep vigilant for illness. I think also, I would say it's best if you can work in partnership with your doctor and consultant to get the best solution for your child.
The Contact a Family helpline can provide information and support on many of the points raised in this podcast. The advisors on our free phone helpline can assist with issues around benefit entitlement, navigating the NHS, and issues around education. We can also locate local and national support groups, provide medical information, and link parents whose children have rare disorders. In addition, we produce a wide variety of publications. For more information, visit our website at www.cafamily.org.uk or call our free phone helpline on 0808 808 3555. For video interviews with parents, visit our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/CAFamily. This recording was made in September 2010. The views expressed in this podcast are for information purposes only. The material is in no way intended to replace professional medical care or attention by a qualified practitioner. Condition symptoms may vary in type or severity amongst individuals. This podcast is to demonstrate the personal views and experience of this family only. For approved medical information about this condition, see the Contact a Family website www.cafamily.org.uk or contact your doctor.